Hello everyone, welcome back to DMCA Chess Academy. This is Chess Coach Ritesh Mathew. I'll show you a very nice trap in the Roy Lopez opening. Black can checkmate white by sacrificing a knight. So the Roy Lopez opening begins like this: e4, e5, knight f3 attacks the pawn, knight c6 saves the pawn, and bishop comes to b5. This is the standard Roy Lopez move. So here black can continue with knight developing to f6, white will castle, and everything over here looks very natural. It's so normal Roy Lopez book theory book opening. Now here black can try to do a little trick and put the knight to g4. Now generally one of the opening principles is not to move the same piece twice unless it's necessary. Over here, black didn't have to move the same knight. Again, instead focus on the development, focusing on the castling and so on. However, life is too short and you can still try and do some experiments and take some risks. So black brings the knight to g4, and here white plays the pawn to h3 and attacks the knight. Very normal looking moves and very natural. And then black can come back and save the knight and put it back to f6. Instead, black can try the fishing pole trap and surprise the opponent by playing the pawn to h5. Now it seems at the surface level that black is giving up the g4 knight. Alright. But white shouldn't capture the knight. White shouldn't fall for the fishing pole trick. And white should instead continue with the normal developing moves such as pawn to c3 with the idea of solidifying the center and pushing d4 later on, or straight away playing d4 or d3, or bishop captures the knight, and so on and so forth. So these are some natural looking moves for white. White should not fall for the trap. However, if white doesn't know the fishing pole trap, then he might fall for it and think that he can capture the knight for the price of the pawn. So here black can rejoice and capture the pawn. So black lost the knight and only got a pawn in return, but seems like white is in trouble now. Now over here, white should just give up the knight because white won the black knight. So white should just give up the knight and focus on, again, normal developing moves such as d4 or c3, or bishop captures the knight. These are some natural looking moves for white. And but here white falls for your trap, hook, line and sinker, and moves the knight back, because white's intention is, hey black, I got an extra knight, so why should I give up my advantage? So white tries to save the knight, which is the final blunder for white. Now here, since this rook is on a completely open file and the king is on the g file, black can continue by playing queen to h4. Now the threat is very clear. The queen can either go to h2 or h1 and it's checkmate. And white, in order to avoid the checkmate, has to either take control of h1 or h2 or move the pawn and give a escape route to the king. Now white, none of the white pieces can take control of h1 or h2 in one move. So that is out of question. So the only forced move at this point is white has to either move the pawn to f3 or f4 and open a small window for the king to escape once the queen comes to h2 or h1. So to that end, if white plays the pawn to f3, then it's forced checkmate in 2 moves, and if white plays the pawn to f4, then it's forced checkmate in 3 moves. So let's take a look at both the options. So if white plays the pawn to f3, he's opening up a small window for the king to escape. So first what black can do is shut off and close that window on f2, and now again the queen going to h2 or h1 is ripe for checkmate. So now no matter what white moves, no matter which move you take, bishop captures the knight, they develop the knight, pawn push to d3, d4, pawn push to c3, queen coming out to e2, no matter what they move, queen is coming to h2 or h1 for checkmate. So this is a forced mate in 2. Right, let's go back and check f4. If white plays f4, there is one little idea here, or not idea, but just one move which will delay the checkmate. So again, white opened up the king's path to escape on f2, but as usual we're going to seal off that path. But playing the pawn from f2 to f4 allows this queen to delay the checkmate by one move. So once black blocks the path on f2, the queen comes here to h5. Now the queen, your queen, cannot go to h2 square to deliver the mate, because the white queen has an x-ray control on h2 square. So this is the only one delaying move for white. Over here, black can continue with rook captures the queen and creating again a battery of queen and rook. And again, the pawn is cutting off the f2 escape route. So from here, no matter what white moves, the knight, or white moves the rook, or the knight comes out to c3, or bishop captures the knight, no matter which move white makes, it's going to be a checkmate in the next move. So it's a very nice trap called the fishing pole trap, occurring in the Roy Lopez, and once in a while you can always surprise and shock your opponent and use these kind of traps. Generally speaking, it's not recommended for black to move the knight to g4 early on in the opening. Otherwise, it will be a disadvantage for black. But as I said earlier, life is too short, and we might as well take some risks and chances at some point. And that's what makes chess such a beautiful game. You know, out of nowhere, some tactic might spring up as a bolt of lightning, you know. So you can do these kind of experiments as a chess player, and you can try to win the game early on. Alright, so I hope you like this little trap. Do try it on your opponents, and do like and subscribe to my channel, YouTube channel Chess Melody, and for more chess and music related videos. So I hope you like the trap. Have a nice day. Thank you.